I'd like to open up by just saying our thoughts and prayers are with the family of Sean Clark, his wife Janelle, their two kids. Central Florida football. You know, Sean was the O-line coach most recently in Central Florida. Sean and I got really close. He was the head coach at App State when I was head coach at Troy in the same league, and became really good friends during that time. And Sean and Greg Gasparotto worked together at App State as assistants. Sean coached Jack Hollyfield and Santana Hopper, who were on our team. Sean's connections to Tulane football are real, and man, he was an unbelievable man, great football coach, and our heart is broken for that family, and our thoughts and prayers are with them and with Central Florida football, and just want to make sure we draw attention to that. All right, so as we start, got to open up conference play, get ready to go on the road against a good Tulsa football team. I think they're much improved from last year when you watch them. They're coming off a huge win against Oklahoma State, and I see a really quality opponent. When I watch the tape, I think they're well coached. I think they're talented. They present a lot of different issues. We got to be ready to go. We got to play much better football, and obviously we look at the other side to figure out what we're taking on, but we also got to fix some things within ourselves to play the kind of football we want to play to get better outcomes than last week. So with that, we'll open it up.
How do you address kind of the mental challenge of, now we're starting conference play, it's just kind of another week, but then there's also a bye after this game. So just kind of, I guess, how do you address how this schedule is?
Yeah, it's been a unique schedule just from a non-conference standpoint with 3 Power 4 teams. That's not maybe normal. And then no FCS game. That's probably not normal for a G5 or G6 or whatever we're called now. I don't know how all the terms. That's probably not really normal. But when it's all that's all in our rearview mirror, so I don't even address it with our guys. What I do address with our guys as of yesterday really is like every time you get into conference play, I do like playing 4 straight non-conference games and then go in conference play because it's a very clear line of distinction of like what kind of football we're playing. And I like to tell our guys to start conference play like this is the beginning of a new day. We're 0-0 in conference. So we're 3-1 overall. These conference games, they count on a conference record and your overall record. And it's the beginning of a new day. We get to choose what we do with the new opportunities that are presented in front of us in conference. And there's, the schedule stuff on the backside of it. Our October is kind of funky with Thursday game, all this different stuff, but it is what it is. Take it how it comes, and we'll address it when it gets here. We got to really be focused on this week with our players. I sat down back in the spring and the summer and mapped out sort of what we'll do for the next few weeks as we have this kind of weird flow of a schedule. But we got to really be focused on Tulsa and getting ready to play the best version of ourselves we can because that wasn't us last week.
I know you hate to lose, but how much maybe of a necessary wake-up call was that game Saturday at Ole Miss?
Yeah, I mean, one of my good buddies texted me Saturday night, and he said, you get a quote from a win and you get a chapter from a loss. I think there's a lot you learn in a loss. Because here's the deal. In a win, the coaches, we still learn a lot because I'm extremely critical of everything. Like, y'all have seen me after, I think last year we opened up against Southeastern Louisiana. I think we won 50-something-0, and I was pissed after the game. Like, I'm constantly trying to figure out what can we do better, right? Our players, they're here for like 3-4 hours a day, whatever, and they go out on campus and they get pats on the back. Hey, you won a game, and it's like, yeah, we didn't play that good, but we won. Like we won a couple games in that stretch where we started 3-0 and didn't play our best, and so I think when you lose, now everybody that was on the bandwagon. Our guys go on campus and they find out, everybody tells them how much we suck. All right, so it's like, all right, you suck. Okay, so now when they hear they suck, they're like, okay, I got to get better. They're listening to it. Complacency is real when you're winning. Everybody wants to pat you on the back, and the same people that are patting you on the back will stab you in the back after you lose one. And so the people in this building have to take ownership of the good and the bad every week, and then get ready for the next week. And so I don't get real roller coastery like with the highs and the lows. Like we celebrate victories after the game, and I'm for 24 hours really pissed, maybe a little bit longer sometimes when we lose. But really I'm so focused on like what do we have to do to get better that regardless of the outcome of the game, we're constantly in search of getting better.
I guess the shortcomings in the pass game too this weekend. How
Yeah.
much of an easy fix is that for you guys?
Well, I don't know if easy fix is there. What I would say is I thought the pass game was trending good coming off the Duke game, and then we played a different beast on Saturday. Our matchups were maybe not as favorable at times on the perimeter. We didn't execute some things. We had 2 third-down drops where the ball was in our hands. Okay, and credit to them, they were contested catches, but like the ball's in your hands, catch the ball, and we get first downs early in the game. If those conversions happen, then you're feeling a lot better about the flow of the game because we're sustaining drives. So it definitely took a step back. Some of that was on us, like I said, with not finishing 2 catches early in the game on third down. Some of that was a credit to the opponent. I think they smothered us a little bit in coverage and played really sticky and physical at times, and we didn't do a good job. I thought we looked a little sluggish at times. Now our GPS stuff would tell you we still ran fast, but we were also playing a pretty fast opponent. We had a lot of guys hitting 20 and 21 miles an hour on the GPS, which is rolling, but their guys were too. And so those windows were tighter. Things were more suffocating maybe from a coverage perspective. I did think we held up front pretty good. I thought, we ran for 178 yards. Now, some of that was Jake on scrambles, but with Derek Graham out, which Derek will be back this week. Derek practiced fully today. He looked good. But Derek Graham was out last week, and with Derek out, moved Chadre to left tackle. EB played left guard. I thought EB played really good at left guard. I thought up front we held our own a little bit more respectably than I thought we might, because you go into those kind of matchups sometimes, and really the biggest discrepancy is the line of scrimmage.
The redshirt freshman quarterback that Tulsa inserted midway through the New Mexico State game, the offense has been different since he's been in there. What is he doing effectively for them?
Yeah, he's got real ability. Like, you see him run and throw the ball, and you can tell he's talented. He's very instinctive. He's natural. I like the player. Like when you watch guys on tape, there are some guys you watch, you're like, man, I really like this guy. Like, he's aggravating a little bit. He's crafty. He's creative. He's got a little poise about him. He doesn't look like a young player. He looks more confident than that. I got a lot of respect for him. I think he's playing at a high level, and without a whole lot of time on task, I think he's playing really good football, and he's been a big-time catalyst for, once they inserted him in the New Mexico State game, I thought he played really good. And then last week, golly, to be in that environment and go play the way he did, I really respect it a ton. I think he's a good football player.
You kind of talked about Derek a little bit there. Is he, laboring at all? Is he 100%? Like, how's he doing, and how was his process back of getting him ready to play for this first conference game?
Yeah, he was laboring last week when we practiced him the back end of the week. Is he 100%? I don't know if you've played the last 4 games straight that we've played. Anybody's 100%, you know what I mean? Like, I think everybody's got bumps and bruises. So, my college trainer was Jim Madalino. Jim's retired now, but Mad Dog used to say, I remember reporting as a freshman, and he said, "Somebody about 100%." And I said, "Yeah, I feel great." And he goes, "Remember this, you're never going to feel that ever again." So I think in college football, the term 100%, it's like, if you're ever 100%, like, golly, you're probably not playing the right way. So I think he's probably there's going to be some uncomfortability maybe in some of it, but I think he's available to go play and play with strength and power. That was really, he could have played last Saturday. He went through pregame warmups. We could have pushed him and said, you got to go play. But it was not going to be fair to him to ask him to do so, because he wasn't going to be able to play the brand of football he's used to playing, the style he's going to play with, being strong and physical. And so today he looked, normal, looked like he always does.
What traits is it about Chadre that makes him so versatile, being that he also could be the backup center? Is it mental, or really what is it that allows him to play both tackle and guard?
Yeah, Chadre's got an elite level of maturity. He's a really strong competitive guy. Just the way he competes, he's a high school wrestler and a really good wrestler. He's the type of guy that I would gladly take him and put him on D-line. Like, he very rarely do you see O-line. They're like, yeah, I'd go put him on D-line. A lot of times D-line to O-line. He's the guy that can play on the other side. He's really been an interior player. I think, he's played left guard predominantly. He's kind of our backup center, right, if you will. And then last week we slid him to left tackle because at the end of the day, it's how do you get your best 5 O-linemen on the field. Scheider is clearly one of the best 5. He's also got great flexibility and versatility because he's really athletic. He's smart. He's tough. He's consistent. He's dependable. Like, he's just one of those guys that, like, you don't ever have to wonder, like, what's he going to do every day. He's one of the most consistent people in our building. I think he's got a really bright future in this game. I think he's a professional football player. I really do. I think he's going to become that over time, and I'm glad he's a part of our football team.
Back to Tulsa, if you don't mind. Running back Sullivan.
Yeah.
That kid looks like a stud. And also, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about number 0, their linebacker, who seems to lead them in every category.
Yeah, the running back Richardson is who you're thinking.
Richardson, I apologize. Not
Yeah,
Sullivan,
you said
my bad.
Sullivan. I had to look down. I'm like making sure I had his name right. I usually deal in jersey numbers on opponents more than I do names. But, yeah, it's Dominic Richardson kid. He's got 442 yards in the year. He's a big guy, 210-pound dude. Physical, downhill runner, breaks tackles, and really thought he kind of dictated the flow of the game last week for them. I thought the way he played really took the game over for them and allowed them to establish the ground game. They fed him the rock and just kept doing it over and over and over again and broke a lot of tackles. So I really like the way he plays. Good physical runner. What was the other question? Yeah, he's got 49 tackles on the year in 4 games. That's a pretty impressive stat line. He's everywhere. He's very active. I like the way he plays as a guy. That's a linebacker guy by trade and my background. I think he's a really good football player. I think he's disruptive. He's good with his hands. He's athletic. He's physical. Makes plays in space. Like, he's just one of those guys that seems to always be around the football. Even when he's not the primary, he just. You feel like every time at the end of the play, he's like next to the ball. Yep.
How would you grade the defensive line play through 4 games? I mean, they weren't dominated on Saturday, but have they made as many plays as you were expecting going into the year?
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag. I mean, I think we could be maybe more disruptive at times and create more havoc up front. I thought at the line of scrimmage, their running back was a good player, that Keywan Lacey kid. I thought he had 68 yards total, I think. So we were able to hold some of their normal run game stuff in check to a certain degree. The quarterback run game, the +1 runs got us a little bit. They're a challenging bunch the last week because all the tempo and spacing and protections they use and the quarterback run, and all of a sudden the quarterback get on the perimeter to throw. The launch points were different, so you're not able to kind of maybe it's easier when the quarterback's not mobile to play D-line and rush the passer because it's like, all right, he's a statue. When you got a guy like last week, it's a little harder. I'd like to see our sack numbers be more productive, but sometimes you can affect the passer without maybe getting a sack. I think we can play better. I think you'll see us play better as we continue to go. We've been playing a lot of guys in the rotation, but I think we have the opportunity to. There's a lot of room for growth out there with that group for sure. Good, awesome. Thanks again.